Emily worked as a hardworking nurse at a busy hospital near Boston Center. She often found comfort in early morning walks through the nearby park. For her, it was a short break from the demands of her job, a chance to breathe and collect her thoughts before another long day. The cool air, the soft rustling of leaves, and the rhythm of her steps were small comforts in her otherwise busy life. As Emily walked along the familiar trails one morning, she saw a man sitting awkwardly on the grass near the running path. He clutched his ankle, his face contorted with pain. She quickly went over to him, knelt beside him, and asked gently, "Are you okay?" The man looked up, his face a mix of pain and relief. "I think I twisted my ankle," he said, wincing slightly. The man was Ryan, a successful businessman who started running as a way to relax from the stress of running his family's company that morning. He had been thinking when he stumbled and landed badly, leaving him stuck and unable to continue. Emily's professional instincts kicked in right away. "Let me take a look," she told him. Carefully inspecting his ankle, she comforted him. "It doesn't look broken, but you'll need to ice it and rest for a while." Ryan was surprised by how calm she was and how much she cared. In her eyes for a moment, the warmth of her presence made him forget about the pain in his ankle. "Thank you," he said in a soft but grateful voice. "I don't even know what I would have done if you hadn't stopped." Emily smiled modestly and answered, "It's part of the job. I'm a nurse." This short but meaningful encounter made an impact on both of them. As Emily helped Ryan hobble to a nearby bench, he felt a surprising sense of gratitude for her help and kindness. Their paths crossed by chance, but neither of them knew that this small moment in the park would be the start of something much bigger. Emily's life was always full of tasks and problems. As a nurse at a big Boston hospital, she had to work long shifts and take care of patients all the time, even though it was hard work. Helping others was not just Emily's job, it was her purpose. Outside of work, Emily was the sole provider for her younger sister, Mia, who was in her last year of college. After losing both of their parents in a tragic accident when Emily was just becoming an adult, she took on the role of caregiver and provider and worked hard to pay Mia's tuition and make sure her sister had every chance to succeed. Even though Emily seemed strong on the outside, she was lonely and sad on the inside. Emily rarely had time to stop, think, and recharge. Her early morning walks through the park were her personal space to think about her life and find a fleeting sense of peace amidst the chaos. Deep down, Emily wanted a meaningful relationship with someone who could share her life and understand the burdens she carried. But every time she thought of opening her heart to someone, she hesitated because she was afraid that her busy life would leave no room for love. Between her demanding job and family duties, she had never given herself the chance to look for happiness for herself. Little did she know that her chance meeting with Ryan would start to change her view not only on life, but also on what she deserved from it. Ryan was a young, successful businessman who ran the well-known technology company that belonged to his family. He had a great attitude and had done a lot of great things. Many people looked up to Ryan, but deep down, he carried a heavy burden that few ever saw. As the oldest son in a well-known family, Ryan always felt the pressure to live up to his parents' and the board's expectations. His father, the founder of the company, had always seen Ryan as his successor, someone who would carry on his legacy. The intense meetings, high-stakes decisions, and constant pressure to protect the company's reputation left Ryan with little time for himself. Even though Ryan loved his job and was driven by innovation, he felt suffocated by his family's close supervision, and running became his outlet, a way to temporarily escape the demands of his role and regain some sense of clarity. Even though he seemed to be doing well, Ryan felt a deep loneliness. Material wealth and professional achievements couldn't fill the emotional void in his life. His past relationships often ended quickly as he struggled to find someone who truly understood the pressures he faced that morning. Caught up in his thoughts during a routine run, Ryan misstepped and twisted his ankle sitting on the grass, and pain. He felt a rare sense of vulnerability, but then Emily appeared unexpectedly, and without hesitation she came to his aid. Her kindness and care were like a breath of fresh air, something Ryan hadn't experienced in a long time. Their encounter wasn't just a coincidence to Ryan, it felt like a sign, a reminder that sometimes the key to dealing with life's pressures isn't running away from them, but finding someone who can help you face them. Together after their chance meeting in the park, Ryan couldn't stop thinking about Emily. The way she helped him with such care and kindness left him feeling connected to something deeper, though. Their conversation had been brief. The sincerity in her words and the warmth in her eyes stayed with him long after. Determined to keep his promise of thanking her, Ryan reached out to Emily a few days later, using the contact information she had given him. After tending to his injury, he invited her out for coffee, not just to express his attitude, but because he genuinely wanted to get to know her better. Their meeting at a small cafe in Emily's neighborhood felt natural. At first there was a hint of awkwardness, but it quickly melted away as they began to talk. Sitting across from her, Emily talked about her life. She discussed how hard it was to balance her demanding job as a nurse with care for her younger sister, Mia. She also talked about times when she felt overwhelmed but kept going because she thought it was the right thing to do. Ryan paid close attention. He had never met anyone like Emily, someone who gave so much to others without expecting anything in return. For the first time in a long time, Ryan felt comfortable talking about himself. He talked about the stress of running a family business, his parents' expectations of him, and how lonely he often felt despite his success. Ryan realized that Emily wasn't just strong, she was also resilient, carrying loads that few people her age could handle. For that, he had a lot of respect for her. They started talking to each other more often, whether it was on a quiet walk in the park or over dinner after Emily's hospital shifts. Each time they got together, they learned more about each other, and their bond grew stronger. When Emily was around, she made Ryan want to be a better person, which was something he hadn't expected from Emily. Ryan was expected to be a source of support and understanding. He wasn't just a well-dressed businessman. He was someone who really listened, understood her struggles, and praised her efforts. During their sincere conversations and everyday moments together, something special was beginning to form, a bond based on mutual understanding and genuine respect. After their first meeting, Ryan couldn't stop thinking about Emily. He didn't just want to thank her, he wanted to get to know her better and spend more time with her with patience and sincerity. Ryan began to look for Emily. Ryan wanted to win Emily's heart, so every morning he would text her and ask if she wanted to go for a jog with him. At first, Emily didn't want to go, but eventually she did. Their morning runs in the park became a beloved tradition. They jogged along the tree-lined paths, often making fun of each other about who could run faster, though Ryan always let Emily win. After each run, they would sit on a familiar bench, drink the coffee Ryan always brought, and tell stories. They talked about their lives and laughed at each other's jokes, but they didn't just run together in the morning. Ryan often asked Emily to hang out with him on Emily's few days off. One day, they went to a small art show downtown, and Ryan learned that Emily really liked drawings of landscapes. Another day, they walked along the riverbank and enjoyed the breeze and the quiet break from their busy lives. Ryan realized he had fallen in love with Emily. She wasn't just strong and independent, she was also warm and kind, which made him feel at ease in a way he hadn't felt in years. It was a beautiful morning, and the sun was shining softly through the trees. Ryan thought it was time to tell her how he felt. He turned to Emily and said, "Emily, I've been thinking about this for a while. These mornings with you and the moments we've shared have made me realize something. You make my life better in ways I never thought possible. When I'm with you, it feels like the weight I've been carrying all these years finally starts to lift." His voice was steady but tinged with nervousness. Emily's eyes were wide with surprise, but they were also warm as he gently took her hand. Ryan went on, "I want to be someone you can lean on, trust, and share every challenge and happiness with, Emily. Will you be my girlfriend?" Emily smiled and gave a soft nod. "Brian, I feel the same way. Being with you makes me feel valued and happy, so yes, I'd love to." Relief and joy washed over Ryan, and he couldn't stop smiling. They looked at each other knowing this was the start of something truly special. That morning, under the soft glow of the Park Sunlight, their love story officially began, promising a future they would build together. As Emily and Ryan's relationship grew stronger, it became clear that things wouldn't always be smooth sailing despite their deepening bond. The differences in their lives and the pressures they each faced began to test their connection. For Emily, the weight of her responsibilities never truly eased. Her demanding job as a nurse required not only her time, but also a tremendous amount of energy. On top of that, she continued to shoulder the financial burden of supporting her younger sister through college. Each day was a balancing act, managing her hospital shifts, running a household, and navigating her growing feelings for Ryan. She often questioned whether she was allowing herself to get too invested in the relationship, wondering if she could truly handle it all. Ryan, on the other hand, was under a lot of stress. His father, the founder of their family business, was getting sicker, and the board of directors was pushing Ryan to make important decisions about the future of the business. The stress made it hard for him to give Emily the attention she needed. Every day, Ryan felt torn between his duties at work and his desire to build something meaningful with Emily. So why didn't he just quit Gretchen and go back to work for his company? A turning point came when Ryan invited Emily to join him at a charity event organized by his company. It was a health workshop for families in need at a local community center. At first, Emily hesitated, unsure if she could spare the time, but Ryan persuaded her, emphasizing how meaningful it would be for them to do something impactful together. At the event, Emily and Ryan worked side by side. As a team, Emily offered medical advice and assistance to families seeking help, while Ryan coordinated the logistics and ensured the event ran smoothly. Watching Ryan in action, so dedicated and compassionate, Emily realized that he wasn't just a successful businessman, he also had a deeply caring heart. The workshop was not only a success, but also a moment of clarity for both of them. It highlighted their shared values and the potential they had to support one another in meaningful ways. However, even as their feelings for each other grew stronger, the pressures in their lives didn't disappear. Both Emily and Ryan knew that if they wanted their relationship to thrive, they would need to confront their challenges head-on and learn how to lift each other up through it all. Ryan knew he couldn't keep avoiding the monumental responsibilities that awaited him. His father's health was getting worse, and the board of directors kept putting pressure on him to make important decisions about the future of the company. He had spent so long trying to avoid these demands, but now he knew it was time to face them head-on. After working with Emily on the charity health workshop, Ryan started to think about his next steps and remembered what Emily had told him. Her commitment to doing what she needed to do for the people she cared about made him want to do the same, but this time he didn't want to do it because he felt he had to or because other people were pressuring him to. Ryan decided to have an honest conversation with his father. In a heartfelt speech, he said he was willing to lead the company, but only if he could make meaningful changes. He wanted to improve the work environment, focus on sustainable growth, and make sure the company embraced a balance between business goals and human values. His father initially resisted Ed, but he eventually saw Ryan's determination and the logic behind his vision. Emily, on the other hand, became Ryan's constant source of support. She reminded him that no one was perfect and that he didn't have to do everything alone. For the first time, Ryan realized that his responsibilities didn't have to feel like a burden. They could be a chance to create something meaningful, especially when shared with people who really cared about him. Ryan's choice not only changed the way the company worked, but it also gave him a new sense of freedom. He initiated new projects, including a community-focused health workshop he planned with Emily. Emily showed Ryan that responsibilities were part of life and meaningful when shared with the right people. With Emily's help, Ryan took on his role with purpose and clarity. Together, they faced the challenges ahead not as two separate people, but as partners who believed in each other and the life they were living. Building together. On a cool fall morning, Emily and Ryan walked along the park path where their story started. As the sun went down, golden leaves fell around them and birds chirped in the peaceful silence. They didn't say much, but the comfort of being together spoke volumes. Ryan slowed down and took Emily's hand. Emily looked at him with a soft, trusting look that she had never given anyone else. Before Ryan spoke, his voice was calm but full of emotion. "When I met you for the first time, I had no idea how much my life would change," he said. Due dates aren't problems, they're ways to show love and make a difference, thanks to you. Thank you so much for making me feel less alone in this world. Emily smiled, her eyes filled with tears. Ryan, I used to think my only job was to do what I had to do and take care of other people, but you've shown me that I deserve more than that. I deserve a partner who believes in me and shares the burden of life's problems. Ryan smiled deeply and reached into the pocket of his coat, pulling out a small velvet box. Opening it, he saw a simple but beautiful ring that represented their relationship as it was honest, genuine, and deeply important. He spoke with a steady voice, Emily, I want to build a future with you. A future where we love each other and make the lives of those around us better. Will you walk this journey with me? Emily's mouth stuck shut as tears welled in her eyes. She nodded and smiled happily, yes, Ryan. As they stood in the cool morning air, it was as if the rest of the world had faded away. Problems would come up, but neither of them would face them alone anymore. Ryan and Emily had found more than just love. They had found true companionship together. They knew they could get through anything and build the life they had always dreamed of. As the soft golden sunlight shone down on them, they walked hand in hand down the path, the leaves crunching softly under their feet. The park was full of life, kids laughing, birds chirping, and a light breeze. Their hearts were full of hope, and they could see a future where love, trust, and teamwork would always lead them.